Okay, I want to state the obvious here. Trump could release all of the Epstein evidence today, but he's covering up his involvement with Epstein, period. Okay, now that that's out of the way, he spins, he gaslights you. And by the way, he and his supporters, you've probably seen this somewhere on X or something. They'll say, well, why didn't Joe Biden release the files? The answer to that is really simple because that administration assumed that justice was being served, that they were prosecuting when and where they could. But Trump is the one that said that wasn't the case. And he promised his voters full transparency. In fact, won a lot of votes on that. But now he's panicking in the face of it. So yeah, now people really want to know, why is he panicking? Release the files. You saw what else he did. So just a few days ago, Trump said that he'll, quote, have to take a look at pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, who helped run Epstein's sex trafficking ring. At the same time, by the way, she's quietly moved to what amounts to a low security prison camp, like a nicer prison camp. They call it like Club Fed. How is that justice? A known sex trafficker sent to a nice prison right after meeting with Donald Trump's guy. That's protection. This is exactly what you'd expect from a cover-up. Literally, this is running the playbook. I get it. Look, you once believed that Trump would expose the Epstein network. He'd name names. He'd force accountability. I saw all the memes. The storm is coming, right? But now he hides behind ambiguous statements. He's claiming transparency while he's protecting the people who could expose him. And then there's this little trick. So Trump demanded to release the grand jury testimony in the Epstein and Maxwell case. Now, on its face, that looks like a move towards openness, and this is exactly what he wants you to think. But anybody who understands how grand juries work, they know this is gaslighting. And he's also relying on the fact that not too many people know how grand juries work. Why would they? So grand jury transcripts are typically, they're just law enforcement agents, FBI or police. They go in front of the grand jury, they give summaries of what they know, and they rarely include full witness accounts or any new revelations. In fact, the DOJ itself disclosed that in the Epstein-Maxwell grand juries, only 2 witnesses testified. One was an FBI agent, one was an NYPD detective. A federal judge later rejected Trump's request to unseal those transcripts. He called the administration's attempt to publicize them simply a diversion, saying that the material offered garden variety summary testimony and nothing the public didn't already know from the trial. So demanding release of the grand jury transcripts, it's not bravery. It's not an attempt for transparency. It's smoke and it's mirrors. He's pretending to push for justice when in reality, he's buying time. He's muddying the waters. He's pretending he tried. And in private, he's panicking and accusing Democrats of making the whole thing up, even though he ran on this very thing. But that way, when nothing new ever comes out, he can claim he followed through. Meanwhile, in the House, they're blocking a new member from Arizona that won a special election from being sworn in. Why? Well, it's really simple. Because she would be the 218th signature, which are the required number of signatures on a discharge petition. It's a rarely used thing, but it would force a floor vote to release the full Epstein files. So Speaker Johnson is not swearing her in to prevent that signature from coming. Without her, Republicans dodge that threshold. So they delay it. They're using the excuse of shutdown, which is insane. That's not a good excuse. And they keep their control over whether anything's exposed. Again, how can somebody carry this on their conscience? I don't know. You know, Trump once campaigned all the time on releasing the Epstein files. MAGA supporters believed it. But now that his name's in those files, he's reversing, he's stonewalling, and he's using judicial smoke to cover his tracks. He's gone from promising transparency to barricading secrecy. I get it. MAGA folks were told that he'll drain the swamp, he'll expose the elites, but the swamp wasn't drained. It was actually like walled off, and now you're being asked to defend that wall. Look, there's no excuse now. You now know that he won't release it. So we can't pretend to be advocates for children when now we're advocating for a guy that's clearly covering up his involvement. Either the vote is forced either full disclosure comes, Trump releases them, or we accept that the powerful will always hide behind process, spin, and delay. And if you continue to protect him because he's your guy and he fights for the little guy, then I really believe you can no longer claim to be a champion for children either. Maybe he does fight for the little guy, by the way. But what about the little girls? That's my question.